I've never. Is this just my ignorance with not knowing coffee? I've never associated coffee with shitting at all.
I think there is a relationship there, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 168th edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by PWSA's number one fanboy, Jaden.
G'day.
And we've got the ASMR enthusiast, aka Fitzy, aka Liam.
Hello. Did you even hear that? Oh, I like whispered it.
Yeah, we heard you. It was just kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you needed to get closer.
Yeah, maybe.
Now spit in my ear.
Slobber the mic.
That's so gross, man. Oh my god. Okay, we got a big one today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. And this week, that movie is Zodiac, which opened in the US on March 2nd, 2007. It's directed by David Fincher, who at this point, I'd have to properly look, but may be like most friend of the show. Best friend of the show. I don't know. He comes up a lot. It is a crime mystery, and the synopsis says, between 1968 and 1983, the San Francisco cartoonist becomes an amateur detective obsessed with tracking down the Zodiac killer, an unidentified individual who terrorizes Northern California with a killing spree. That he does. Or she. No,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure. All right, Zodiac. I'm excited to do this one, of course, because I voted for it in the poll. Fitzy, starting off, how many times have you seen this film, and what did you think this time?
I think this is my third rewatch. I guess I've had like a weird experience with this film where it's one of the few films that have like significantly changed my mind on a lot, like alter my opinion, I guess. Because originally I just thought, it was good. It was a good kind of crime thriller movie. But then when I rewatched it, I saw it through the lens of its themes and characters more, I guess. And that's what made me like really start to love it. But yeah, I think it's like amazing. I think it's awesome. I don't know. I don't even know where to start, it's just such a big movie. But I mean, the procedural, the love it has like for the process is awesome. All the analog elements to it and just the sets and the time period is awesome. The characters I think are great. It's a great character piece. And like the murders are still just really chilling. It's just an amazing film.
Interesting. I feel like I have so many things right there that appeal to me because I feel like I have a similar thing that you had, but like I'm like on the third rewatch. I'll get to where you are. Like I'm still on the journey because this was my second rewatch, and my second watch, I should say. And this time it was definitely a journey through space, time, and memory for me of what the hell was I smoking the first time, because not that I ever disliked the movie, but I was very much Fitzy's first watch in that space where I was like, yeah, it was good, but I don't know, I didn't really see it for what I think it really is. And I still don't think I really see it for what it really is, but my perception of what it was or what I wanted it to be or whatever, I don't know, was just way off. And particularly with the ending this time. And it was just, I don't know, it was just pretty exciting pretty much the whole time. I was engrossed. It's very easy to understand, but also very fast moving. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. More so, to Fitzy's point, more so as a wonderful crime mystery plot. I really, really thought it was just fantastic in that particular aspect. I still don't know if I've entirely connected with all the themes and characters yet, but on just a pure engagement entertainment level, like it really got me this time, 100%. Jaden, what about you?
This is like back in like my year of discovery of films. This is like one of the first ones I kind of watched and latched onto, and I've seen this fuck tons, and it really has become. The first time I watched it, I think I watched it a few times in a week, and then ever since I have been like regularly. I love it so much, and I love hearing Fincher talk about it and the precision and dedication that went into this one. It's I don't know, it's everything that you guys talk. Fuck, I feel like I was going somewhere with that, but then just lost it all.
We're gonna try and tackle it because there's so much. You said your year of discovery for film. What year do you consider that to be for you, actually?
Oh, wait.
2017 for me.
Damn, I was going to guess.
Oh, I'm sorry.
sorry.
Because you told me once, I was like, I thought it was earlier than that, to be honest. But
Do you have one, Fitzy, by the way? I definitely have one.
whatever year, I think it was like 2013, 14, when like Whiplash and Boyhood and Birdman.
Oh, wow.
I guess 2014 maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, my real one was 2018 because that's when I got on IMDb and like started like rating shit, you know. Before that, like maybe like a soft launch of it, I guess, was probably 2015 because I remember that's when like we started renting a lot of movies like just on Foxtel, which we'd never really done before. So like that's where I sort of started to get some random stuff that I still seen and remember. Like that's where Whiplash was another touchstone in that era for me as well.
I just remember coming to school in 2017 and like actively like talking about it with you guys and engaging.
Yeah.
I remember one week when I watched like a bunch of crime thrillers like Seven, like this movie, and I came to you guys, you know, at your locker, and you were there as well, and I was like excited, like, oh, I've watched so many good crime thrillers this week and shit. And Liam's like, yeah, what? I'm like, oh, fuck, all right.
Why do you paint me in such a negative light? What the hell? God damn it.
You really did. It was already brought up, but we may as well start. We've got to start somewhere. So let's start with the murder scenes, or the Zodiac perspective scenes. Fitzy, do you have a standout of these? Is there? Would you say this? Is there three? You got the opening scene, 4th of July.
4th of July, then the by the lake, and then the
and the car, the attempted abduction.
Attempted one, yeah. Well, the first one is like the opening, you know, sequence in general is just amazing. It's brilliant. The second one with the knife, I think it is the most like harrowing. You know, the most brutal. Like that even by the standards of like other like really gory, you know, kind of films with stabbing and murders, like that definitely like ranks above them. There's just something that's very eerie about it, and it's unexpected as well. He just pulls out the knife and does that.
Yeah,
it's very like matter of fact, almost like there is like slow-mo and like an element of like the theatric, but the way he just like keeps stabbing, you know, it's very, very blunt.
Yeah, that's what I got out of it as well, because I mean, first of all, in that scene, like the whole time I'm thinking he's gonna shoot them. So then when he pulls out the knife and just starts, matter of fact is the best way to put it, because I personally, looking at the first two, I didn't really find them that scary, personally, or that like haunting or anything. But like, I don't know that was necessarily the intent. It's not a criticism or anything. I was just trying to analyze how I felt about it, because there was something where it just felt very straightforward, very blunt, but like that in itself almost made it sort of more like visceral or more like concerning in a way to me. But yeah, no, I personally wasn't like terrified of the guy, if that makes sense. I don't know if I was supposed to be, but it's sort of almost, I don't know, had this sort of almost different vibe that I feel like Fincher was going for. But
yeah, that lake one is definitely like the most like kind of, well, yeah, as you put it, straightforward. But like, because like the other ones do tend to have like music, or like they are removed by that kind of gun element. So it is like the most in your face one. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're all quite. Something I noticed this time with the killings was like how I don't know how I haven't like picked up on it before. I guess this speaks to a good job, but like the blood was CGI, which surprised me with Fincher. And like it kind of took me out a bit, but like when I was watching like the CGI breakdown, and like they had a good enough reason for it, so like, yeah.
But the blood was CGI, and then
like the reason they did it is because Fincher wanted like a quick turnover for like shots. Like he didn't want to you don't want to clean sets each time and like have to wait ages.
Yeah.
So it's like, we'll just do it all in time.
Because he needed to make time for all these multiple takes.
Yeah. So it makes sense for him, I guess. But like, it was a bit of a letdown, especially when he talks about on the DVD commentary and behind the scenes. He talks so much about authenticity, and the commentary, like the first 15 minutes of it, what I watched is just him saying, "Oh, this is actually really accurate. Oh, this was inaccurate. This was accurate. This was really hard to get precise. This was great." And, you know, and he just speaks so much about authenticity in the time period. So then having the blood CG feels like it takes away from that authenticity. But
interesting. Yeah. Did you notice it That the blood was CG, or is it just because you read about it?
Yeah, no,
Oh, okay.
this time I saw it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. No, I didn't notice it, but I read about it after, and I thought that was also quite interesting. Speaking a bit on that, because he wanted the film to be as accurate as possible, David Fincher decided not to depict any of the alleged Zodiac murders for which there were no surviving victims or witnesses. So that's how we got the 3 scenes we got. I don't know if they were the only 3 where there were surviving victims. Like, I don't know about all the historical murders and all that. Well, hang on, that's not true. The taxi driver, he just died, right?
Right.
Yeah, but there's the kids.
The kids, sorry. Yeah, good point. That was quite an interesting link there between all of the different scenes, which I appreciated this time. Fitz, you brought up the opening scene. What about that one, like, really stands out to you atmospherically or anything else?
Well, like that one and the highway scene are just incredibly tense. But I don't know. Like I think it's well done in the way she kind of hints at the fact that there's someone she knows that's like a stalker or something, or there's an element of like portent, of ominous, like an anonymous kind of element. And then I think like the murder itself, the way that the shooting is shot is very well done as well. Like the bird's eye view of just like him shooting the car up. But yeah, it's also very like the first scene is also like very shocking for me. Even if it's not as much as the knife, the stabbing scene, but it's still very just like very blunt as well, very matter of fact. Yeah,
it is. And when he starts opening fire, for sure, like he just starts spraying. I don't know, like the way it was depicted in the film, I was kind of confused as to why the guy survived. What's it, Mike McGew or whatever his name was? How did he even survive? I don't even understand why he was left alive.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking of that, and I think like in that scene, like he does shoot him a bunch of times, but then when he starts shooting at the guy again, he kind of turns back to the girl, and like it goes to something they say later, which is that he was so fed up with killing the women that he didn't, he didn't finish the guys, but not for lack of trying, or whatever.
Right. Okay.
But I don't know. He just got lucky, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fair enough. In that particular shot, when it sort of goes wide and he starts opening fire, and you can that's one of probably 2, I think, of the clearest views you get of the guy playing Zodiac in that scene. You get a pretty, like, it's all usually in shadow, or but you can make out his face at points. It's not like he's totally hidden all the time. And I was curious as to who's playing him and all those decisions that were being made. I got a bit of trivia on it because I was interested in this as I was watching.
Was it?
Oh, Jane. Oh, you
was it a different guy every time? Is that? Yeah.
Yeah. So in one of the Zodiac's letters, he muses on who would portray him in a film about him. In this film, he is portrayed by 3 separate actors. On IMDb, I think it's actually 4, but anyway. And in any shot featuring the Zodiac, the actors' faces are always out of focus or obscured. This served to keep the audience guessing and perhaps as a balk to the actual Zodiac killer, so that he wouldn't be portrayed by a visible or famous actor. I mean, maybe. I think it's just more the fact that we don't know who he is. Like, we just in real life and in the film, we never know who he actually is 100%. So just adds that underlying mystery to it still. But yeah, I was curious about that as a choice, and particularly the choice to have, because it comes into play when I can't remember the guy's name who's the survivor of the stabbing. He has to come in and try and recognize his voice from the phone call, and he says that the voice was not the same, right? And I did note, particularly in that scene, his scene at the lake, the voice was quite different, I thought, than the phone later, if I remember correctly. So I was really curious in trying to pick apart the choices there of, like, obviously having different people play him and just to throw us off, but also, like, in a way, did he have the lighter voice in the scene and have a different actor do that, like, is almost to, like, put us in the subjective experience of the character, if that makes sense? Of, like, to him it sounded like a different person, therefore it sounds different to us, and then that throws us off as well, as opposed to, like, us thinking the character's wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Are you talking about the guy who called the station? Called Brian Cox's
yes,
character?
compared to the guy how he sounds when he's wearing his weird ass like
Okay. Well,
costume.
they say they confirm in the movie that that's not him. That guy's from he calls from like a mental institution. It was like a
That wasn't actually him.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
It's actually confirmed in real life as well when they cracked the third sci-fi in 2020. One of the things he says is that wasn't me on the. He says that
on the TV.
He writes it on one of his codes. Yeah, that wasn't me on the TV. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, okay. I didn't actually know. I didn't catch that. Although, but he doesn't sound like Arthur Lee Allen either, though. Wouldn't you say?
But the guy on the phone wasn't the Zodiac.
Yeah. But sorry, the Zodiac
So
who
it
did this,
doesn't matter.
but the Zodiac who did the stabbing doesn't sound like Arthur Lee Allen either.
Right.
I didn't think.
Yeah, but like that's. But that's just what you get from having 3 different actors playing.
Of course, yeah. No, definitely, it makes sense. It's just, it was interesting. I liked it a lot to try and throw us off.
Yeah,
I assume what I mentioned is the intent there. The costume was weird as though. Like, is that must be accurate? Like, he created his own little superhero outfit. Or was it not? I don't know if I would have done that.
Wasn't it just a jumpsuit and then like a bag on his head? Like it wasn't. I guess he did paint a symbol on him, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a little like chest piece there.
Hmm.
So that's interesting. The Zodiac. So yeah, that stood out to me with those scenes. But the failed abduction of the woman and her baby, that was actually probably my favorite, just because it's probably where I felt the most tense in relation to like when he was working on her wheel. It's like, I'll come and help you out. And then the whole time he's like screwing the wheel, I'm just cringing the whole time, man. Like it's like so obvious that he's messing with the wheel, but like it was never like annoying because like I could understand someone being in her situation. You just let a guy, I don't know, this guy seems to know what he's doing. I'd probably be the same way, to be honest. Some guy like pulls up and he's like middle aged. I don't know, he can probably do shit with cars. So like it was believable, but I was that was really tense, and I thought for sure her baby's corpse was going to be in that bush, to be honest. So I'm glad that didn't pan out that way.
Yeah, how did she do that? Like, she jumped out of the car holding a baby and just the rest of it.
She had to have, like, I guess, really thought it through
Maternal
with, like,
instinct,
the way she rolled.
I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I was impressed. I thought for sure that baby was dead. So, what about? Let's break down the characters. I'm actually most curious about this to see what you guys get your takes on this. We can start with Robert, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. Do you think he is the main character of this movie, actually?
Yeah.
Okay.
If not by screen time, by perspective.
Yeah.
Because the end offers his perception of the end. Not any factual one.
Yes. I feel like the film sort of does, like in the second act, it sort of moves away from him for quite a bit. I feel like there was a moment. There was a moment where he came back, and I'm like, I don't think I've seen you in half an hour.
Yeah. It definitely does shift. Like what I was saying last week about how Boston Strangle is like very a report of. I misremembered this film because I forgot that it does like there is that strong second hour where it does just take the perspective of Mark Ruffalo and his buddy.
Yeah.
As they try and crack the case.
Wow.
But I think it was a great way to actually just provide information that wouldn't be available without the police side of it. So
definitely.
Yeah.
No, I love that. That was actually probably my favorite part of the movie. It was probably when they started cutting together all the characters, like figuring out that the Zodiac was breaking the pattern. The way that's cut together, that little 30-second scene was just like really cool. The way like they're all in their different spots and they sort of link all the perspectives. That was really cool. And that's when the progression of the actual like mystery from there with the evidence, looking at the clues and the multiple suspects, sort of leading all the way up into when they get to actually interview Arthur Lee Allen for the first time. The progression of all that was like really exciting. I really, really enjoyed all of that. And of course, like having to mess with all the political stuff with the police departments and their jurisdictions. And I think that's all when that sort of stuff is in the movie. And I really, really dug at that this time.
Yeah. I was just going to say like on David Toschi. Well, first of all, like, I think Mark Ruffalo in the film is pretty awesome. The way he's just like really like soft spoken and stuff, and like he's a pretty like reasonable character. But I didn't know like his like strap thing like inspired like Dirty Harry in that, and Bullet as well, like Steve McQueen and Bullet. That was like pretty interesting.
Oh, like the look?
Yeah, like the strap and like the gun on the holster, like in the middle of his like near his rib cage or
Oh,
whatever.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so this guy was like pretty important because he was like obviously like the main guy who was put in charge of finding the Zodiac.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I almost forget that with like the three kind of perspectives of the film. I guess you call like Paul Avery the other one, although it's kind of more minor. Yeah, you kind of forget that like this is his project that has failed. They obviously touch on that in the film, but personally, I just forget that. But he's still like a great character.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, he's fantastic. That's funny. Like, obviously, I really appreciated the Dirty Harry shout out. I don't know if we talked. I assume we would have brought up Zodiac maybe in that review in the trivia or something. That we did.
Wait, did we review Dirty Harry in the show?
Yeah.
Fuck off, we did. Really?
Yes, we did.
Bullshit. I was gonna ask, like, have you actually seen Dirty Harry? Oh, no way.
We'll see it and did a podcast about it.
When did we do that?
Dude, you mentioned the Zodiac. You mentioned the scene in this film.
I'm sure I would have, was that has to be
it was the day after your birthday.
What?
It was honestly like, I think this time last year about.
Yeah. Fuck.
Unfortunately, I have to remember.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit.
That's so funny. I like that shout out because, like, we would have talked about it in that review, I'm sure, and like looking back at that scene they used with like the Scorpio letter from the movie, obviously the similarities are striking. But like, I don't know, like still like seeing it how the movie came out, Dirty Harry, like while this stuff was still ongoing, and like having that like sink in within this story was like added that extra level of like really connected in my brain of like, oh wow, that's crazy. Like this stuff was still going in real life and was all still open. I mean, it still is still open, but you know what I mean? It was like very much an ongoing issue, and that movie came out. It wasn't like, oh, it's inspired by some past killings or whatever. So that's, I don't know, that was some cool context I enjoyed. And
it was almost like they were hyper expectant for him to find him, because like that guy was like, Harry Callahan did a hell of a job with your case there. He was like,
oh yeah,
yeah, no need for due process. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Like this film came out 16 years ago, and like the fact that like the credits leave you within the case is still open, and like even at, like obviously it applies to that time, but like the case is still open now as well. Is feels
yeah.
Or did they officially like close it and call it a cold case?
Well,
but actually, if they're cracking ciphers in 2020, then
I think I assume it's still open. I don't really know.
Yeah, there was like another suspect they were like really keen on in the last like few years, because apparently his name was like a key to the cipher or something.
Oh, but not one in this film.
No. Well, the film only really focuses on on Lee Allen, but
and Rick Marshall, even though we never meet him. But yeah, we never meet him, right?
No, because we made the guy who's supposed to know Rick Marshall.
Yeah,
but he wasn't much of a suspect in real life. So yeah.
Not to go too far away from some of these performances. Yeah, it is interesting thinking about who the main character of the movie is, because the movie does sort of switch around. I agree with Fitzy that that Paul Avery. Paul? Why am I? Yeah. He feels the most like the supporting character to me. Like, I feel like if anything, like I do think if anything, Jake's the main character, because like the end, as Jane said, I totally agree. Like the ending's framed around him for sure, and that is so important. But then also like the ending isn't really framed around Dave much, but so much of the middle is. So if anything, it's sort of like maybe a balance between them at certain points in the movie, maybe ending on Jake. But I think Robert Downey Jr. is definitely more supporting.
I think Downey here is more impressive than.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I just think I think it is actually a different character to him, and I feel like obviously this is pre Iron Man, but like like I was saying, I feel like I still see Tony Stark in Strauss.
That's so funny. Yeah, okay.
Whereas here, like I don't like. I mean, I'm probably does have some of the similar tendencies, but like he does feel like a unique character in Downey's pro.
Interesting. I'm the opposite. I see I don't see a lot of Iron Man in this. Don't get me wrong, but like if anything, I see more Iron Man in this.
Well,
just, I don't know.
Yeah, he's like really quick witted in this.
Yeah.
He's
for
like
sure.
But I was thinking like
It's like a trickster.
yeah, like in real life, Paul Avery wasn't like, you know, an alcoholic like this. He didn't go like down the same path. So I was thinking like the purpose of like portraying him like that. And first I just thought that like because the film is such a because like one of the main focuses of the film is like how time, you know, changes things, changes the characters with there, especially with like Robert Grayson's obsession and changes the case and everything around it. But I was thinking like maybe he's just like supposed to be a marker of time for other characters. Then I thought maybe he's just supposed to be like a foil for Robert because he's more like he's more like cynical and like he sees everything in terms of the business side of it, where Robert Graysmith is like, you know, he's like an idealistic guy. He's like the Boy Scout, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, that's what I kind of thought was the purpose of like him being his kind of extended story, I guess.
I think it also goes to show the kind of prolonged effects of like the Zodiac on someone that wasn't directly affected by the murders, because he did become a target and he did become like someone like, you know, that had to be wary. It's like I think it was just like probably also to just showcase the fear that existed around that time and like the path that creates.
I really, well, I never thought that that's why he like became the way he was though. Like I thought that he kind of like reveled in the attention, you know.
I think there was an uptick in his drinking though.
Yeah, maybe.
Post.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's put a target on your back and we'll see how you
Yeah. Damn. No, I like everything you guys are saying because, like, for me, one of the big questions of the film was I still didn't really understand Paul's downfall exactly. I didn't really. It was sad. Like the houseboat scene was good and it was sad to see like where this guy ended up working for the Sacramento Bee. I feel like that says all you need to know. But yeah, I didn't really get the why aspect of it this time. But I like all those ideas
Right.
for sure. Like he was a target. Yeah, he was a target, but maybe it is more of just a role of like how he relates to the other characters. Well, especially with obviously with Robert, and like that scene they have where it's like, dude, just let it go, you know.
Well, like it's an unexplained thing, but I feel like there are a lot of the films there are a lot of parts of the film that are maybe like intentionally like unexplained. Like the film's kind of like clouded in mystery in that way. Like you don't really know much about like David Toschi beforehand or like Richard beforehand or anything. He doesn't do the usual like movie thing of going like the characters like reflecting on their trauma or something like that. You know, even with like Lee Allen, it doesn't tell you much about his history. So like, I feel like that might be a choice.
True.
To keep everything kind of mysterious. Yeah.
It does stay very in the present in that way. I don't know, but even like tracking the scenes with Paul early on, like just within the movie itself, what does he go through that changes him exactly? You know? Like just trying to pinpoint.
Yeah, I don't know.
He is a mysterious character. I totally agree with that. He's compelling though. Like Robert Downey Jr., of course. Fantastic. No doubt about that. Yeah. And he's very funny character. That was one thing actually about the film, something that surprised me personally. Did you guys think the script was funny?
Yeah, those things are one-liners.
Yeah, I think mainly around like Graysmith.
Oh yeah, total dork.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Oh no, I thought there was some hilarious scenes like that scene with Jake and RDJ at the bar where he's like making fun of his blue drink and then he ends up having the blue drink. Yeah. That's good stuff. One of my favorites is I will refrain from using the word, but of course,
that's my favorite too.
That's a classic. What do they call you?
I was going to say like I can't really say that one.
People call me things like like the R word? Yeah. No.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. And I don't know, like even like taking away from those moments that are just meant to be like, you know, dialogue driven funny. I think there is some circumstantially funny stuff in the film too. Like I think the quick interviews montage they do, where it is pretty funny with all the different like people they're trying to, the people that have their leads, right? You know, that think they've got a clue about the Zodiac killer.
Well, they're saying they're the Zodiac.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And the guy's like, coincidence? You're a cop. Do the math. You know, that's good stuff. But yeah, of course, a lot of it has to be about Robert because he's a total dork. He smoked once in high school, Jaden. You know, so he's pretty wild. I'm happy to leave that in if you're happy for it to be on the air. No worries. 'Cause I don't know, it's pretty naughty. But of course, a big part of the film is Robert sort of, you know, becoming obsessed, going too far, not letting go of the case and all that kind of thing. And I knew the film was sort of that was a big part of the film going into it. And it's sort of what, you know, it's one of the more obvious aspects of the film for sure, especially compared to this RDJ conversation we're having. But I thought it was well done. Like, I did really like the way they sort of plant all those seeds throughout, neglecting his new family and all that kind of thing. Particularly, I don't know, like that scene where like that he has that quick 5-minute meeting with Dave, and Dave like just quickly like points to his daughter and says, "Well, you got a cute kid," you know, and like the way that worked of like, oh yeah, like as the audience, I don't think we fully registered that his kid was there either. You know, like I probably felt like I was put in Robert's shoes in that moment, like, oh yeah, I've got this pretty cute kid that's right here that I'm just ignoring. And then when he starts getting all his kids involved in the case too, that's pretty extreme, obviously. So no, I thought that was all well done. I was wondering though, like, is the original kid at the start of the movie, by the end of the movie, wouldn't he be like 20 years old?
Yeah, I think we just assume he goes to live off with the mum.
Got it. Okay. So the three kids that we sort of end up with more towards the end with the new chick, they're like
His and his partner.
They're not
Chloe's.
Whatever, got it. Yeah. Because for a second I was kind of like, is that slightly bigger one meant to be the kid from 10 years ago or something? But that doesn't make any sense.
Wait, no, I think that makes sense.
He just got Liam.
No, but I think wait, we're the same fucking height. But I think no, I think that is the same kid though, because like the film doesn't cut too far into the future until later on, and at that point we're just like with him. We're not with like his family.
But when in that scene where he's got his kids working on the project, is that not in like this in like 77? Like after like the
Yeah, I thought that scene was pretty late.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
So the kid would be like 13 or 14. Yeah. Okay.
No, the kid would be like 17 at that time, I reckon.
At least. Yeah.
I guess so.
I like Jaden's theory. I like that. Oh, it's probably not a theory. You can just probably Google it. But yeah. Yeah. I think that makes sense to me. He was crazy going on TV though. Can you imagine getting those calls? How creepy was that shit?
There wasn't like a photo or like any like interview with like Gray Smith in the end credits.
No photos. No.
I think I've seen like a clip of him like, you know, quite a few years on, talking about like the thing, and he still has that similar like obsessed quality about him. Even I think that interview that I've seen was like fucking ages after, like 30 plus years. It was probably similar to the time of the movie release. Probably that's why they were interviewing him. And he still he still like spoke with that same obsessed quality.
Yeah,
which was interesting to see. Like the real life guy was like, yeah, the way he spoke. Yeah,
I mean, is that a real? I assume the book's real and it's actually written by him.
Yeah. Well, the movie's
it's based off his book.
Oh, the whole movie is.
That's why it's so lean. That's why it's leaned so far into like, you know, the killer being Lee Allen, because that was his like the thesis of the book, I guess. Yeah.
Got it. In terms of Arthur Lee Allen, surprisingly, or maybe not. Yeah, no, surprisingly to me, he was one of my standout things in the film for sure. Like John Carroll Lynch as that character. His performance in that first interview was like captivating to me. I was like reading into every little thing he did. I felt like everything was done on purpose. It was really, really good. Did you read him in that moment as guilty? How did you respond to that?
There's too many things.
There is
to say that he's not.
There is
the shit he reads, his background with the touching the kids, his watch, his boots, his history. Like it just all fits. It fits way too well.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, the watch is like, what the hell? That's nuts. Like, how can he sit, like the fact that he's sitting there with these three dudes and he's like passing them a watch that says Zodiac on it. You know what I mean? It's like
with the symbol,
and and I'm being interrogated for being the Zodiac killer with the. It's like, oh my god,
yeah,
surely
all circumstantial though. Zach, almost
Oh,
circumcision.
fuck me. God.
He
Yeah.
wears size 11 boots, military boots.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah, everything with that and the weapons, like you said, Jaden, is crazy. So in the end, like it really was just the fact that it was the handwriting didn't match, and there was something else too.
Fingerprints, I think,
Prints.
were disqualified. But doesn't he say in one of the letters like he wears like two layers of like clear like things to like throw off the print?
Did he say that in one of the letters?
Or like they establish it at some point like where like the Zodiac like when he does his killings like they can't identify by the print because he wears like a thing on his fingers to, like, you know, fuck him up.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it's like those are sort of irrelevant anyway, I guess. Okay. Yeah, and the handwriting thing. The handwriting thing is one of the strongest pieces of evidence that they use and try and play with throughout the whole thing. And that was interesting to see unfold because it turned into like the whole thing with him being ambidextrous and then not, and then that all going back and forth. And then who can you trust with the handwriting opinion? That was all pretty crazy. I don't know. I know that like they tried to throw some doubt in there about like the older, you know, the older experienced guy they kept coming back to as him like drinking and all that kind of thing. I don't know, like just in the performance and like every scene that he's actually in, I believed him personally. Like I thought he was a strong element of evidence that was actually like compelling to the contrary, in my opinion. You know, it wasn't like, oh, this guy's obviously like drunk or this guy's obviously whack. You know.
Well, he was right about the movie process being wrong, although he said it was strong. So I mean,
Yeah.
I think every time like he does assert his opinion, I think he is right.
I agree. Yeah. So that's the whole. That's sort of the main compelling part to me. That's like maybe it's not Arthur Lee Allen, but then everything else is pretty clearly pointed in that direction. You know. But that scene where we go to his trailer as well and learn a lot about what kind of guy he was. That was pretty gross stuff. Like with the squirrels and the free. Oh, it's gross. It's gross. That's huge. Like huge serial killer vibes. You know. Even if you were to go to that man's trailer for any other reason, you'd think this guy might kill people. Should we go? No, let's go to I want to ask about the scene in the basement. Still gets the heart rate up for me. Is it a top, like, memorable scene in the movie for you with how it's done and how tense it gets you, Jaden?
It might lean a bit too far into it when he shuts off the light and like shadows his face.
I was thinking that, yeah.
You know,
I thought that was good.
But it is fantastic and seeing Gray Smith continually to make bad decisions in that scene until he decides to leave. Definitely a chilling one.
Yeah, 100%. That's such a great point. He makes, dude, like what is he doing the whole time in that scene? Yeah, his best decision was definitely just running. Yeah, that was good stuff. I sort of assume like in terms of like the having him turn off the light, and all that kind of thing. And probably also maybe the element of the hearing someone upstairs maybe as well. Like I sort of assume cinematically it's similar to what I was saying earlier. It's like from Robert's perspective, which paints the guy maybe worse than he actually objectively was in that moment, if that makes sense. Like, because obviously the guy, it's a super tense scene, super scary, super serial killer vibes, but then he just lets him out. Like it's fine. I sort of think it's sort of heightened in that way because we're meant to be more in his head, because that's, if I were in the situation, I'd probably be in that headspace that Robert's in.
I saw some people saying like at that point in the film, the scene's supposed to illustrate that he's gone like too far in the deep end and he's just chasing like kind of random leads. But I don't know if the film communicates that necessarily, because I think the film makes a good point. Like it makes a point that the handwriting is like the most similar it's ever been. So like it does feel real. It does feel like real danger because of that. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, I'm 100% with you. Like when the guy admits, I can't remember that guy's name, but like Rick Marshall's former employer or whatever, when he says he wrote the posters himself, the way the movie set all that up, I was like, oh, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
And we've already touched on it a little bit, actually. But you know, the ending. The story really does. This was the thing that changed my perception of it the most. I don't know what I was thinking the first time I watched this. I really remembered it being a lot more ambiguous than it was. Obviously, real life stuff aside, in terms of just what the narrative was framing. and the story does all but resolve itself. Like I didn't remember it that way, and it really has a satisfying case closed ending, despite the fact that it was never actually solved definitively. Which goes back to all the stuff we were talking about, the different actors and how that keeps that sort of real life element of it there. That's still mysterious, but I know it was just still a great note to leave it on. I think like Robert getting that moment where he looked right in the eyes of Arthur Lee Allen and it knew it was him. Like, there's no other way to read that scene, right? Like, especially with how his performance, with John's performance, like in that scene of the way he looks at him. It's that's all I get out of it personally.
I think the fact that as the shot lingers and Lee, it seems like he does recognize Graysmith, and like there is no reason for him to recognize Graysmith unless he was like the Zodiac and he did see his face on TV and he was aware,
100%.
So like if his face never gave that sign of, oh shit, who is this guy? Like oh shit, like this guy, I know who he is, sorry, but I recognize him. You could probably discredit it a bit, but because there's that seemingly recognition,
Yeah, 100%. It really is coming from that way. Like the way he looks is definitely. I totally agree with you. You see it, and that's all I get out of it for sure. Is that Robert got his moment because he knew.
Yeah.
Sort of leading up to that, the diner with Dave. It has to be Lee, surely, right? Like, I don't know if I want to ask you like your real life weigh in on was it Arthur Lee Allen, Fitzy, but like. I mean, the line says it all where it's just like, just because you can't prove it doesn't mean it isn't true. All of these things sort of adding up. And especially, of course, with the scene where Mike McGew identifies Arthur with an 8 out of 10 confidence. Like, I think it's all there. Like, all those three scenes combined is like the film wrapping up in this nice way of like, it's Arthur Lee Allen, but we can't 100% tell you it is, but it is,
Like the film at the very end, when it plays that song, it does like feel like that first victim who survived kind of got his kind of Robert Graysmith ending as well. Like just before that, he does like, he says 8 out of 10, which is pretty high, but it's not 10 out of 10.
Exactly.
And he does point to the other guy who has like the round face, which was a real life thing that happened. But yeah, like the film does seem to conclude that. I mean, like the film like purposefully omits like everything that would, like most things that would abdicate, whatever the word is, like remove guilt. Like I think there were a lot of eyewitnesses, like I think the eyewitnesses to the taxi drivers or something said he was like a different height. It's like Lee Allen was like really tall, and they said he was like 5'11" or 5'10" or something, and that was like one of the main things that threw people off. Made people think it wasn't Allen. And finally, like the police did dismiss him as a suspect in real life as well after they kind of couldn't find any real evidence. So
yeah,
but like the film makes a pretty convincing case for all the circumstantial evidence. Yeah, like he was around the lake area on the same day.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. 100%.
Yeah, that was like the main thing. That's like, just a coincidence, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah. No, those are all interesting points because, like everything, I really love the ending this time for those satisfying reasons I mentioned. But I'm glad you know a little bit more about the real world stuff. At least I know nothing, so you know a little bit more. And the fact, like you saying all that, sort of just makes me think, like, does that make me like the film more or less? You know what I mean? Because I'm glad the film takes a harder stance with sort of pinning it on Allen. I like it doesn't, and I also like it doesn't completely pin it on Allen. It's not like it makes up this whole, I like the way it does it. It doesn't make up this whole thing where it's like, it's definitely Allen, It like subtly, 8 out of 10 pins it on Allen, as we're saying. And I think that makes a more satisfying viewing experience. But knowing sort of that real life stuff as well, does that take away from it? In a small way as well. I sort of,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking that because like the things I've learned, I only learned like just after the movie. Like I went on the surface level, like rabbit hole kind of thing. I mean, the film's based on the book, and it's supposed to be from Robert's perspective. So everything in the film, I mean, it pins it on Alan with a grain of salt, and
Exactly.
the grain of salt is the thing that's outside of Robert's perspective.
Yeah, okay. That makes more sense. I guess maybe in that way, I don't know. I'm literally thinking of this just because as I'm learning this right now on the spot. It's like maybe in that way I would have preferred if the film was more consistently framed through Robert's perspective, like from the start, if that makes sense. Just to sort of frame it that way earlier. You know what I mean? Because I never really, the ending definitely is, but I never felt like the whole experience was designed necessarily that way from start to finish. But
Okay,
I don't know. But if I didn't know, it wouldn't be an issue anyway. So it's tricky.
Did you guys notice CG at any other point in the film?
No, I didn't even notice the CGI
Are you gonna?
I'm gonna hit you with some shit.
Oh, Jane, I've got one, but no, I want you to hit me. I want to see this more.
So the opening push on San Fran, CG. I think that one you can probably tell.
Yeah, but it was good.
Yeah, that was good. That was good CG. Like I think it's all good, which is the point.
Cool.
But I think that's the point where you can probably tell the most. I think some of the cars look a bit, a bit thing. CG. That highway scene where the lady pulled, like when it cuts back to it, and that lady comes up beside the truck. The truck completely CG. The environment mostly CG. This one is the one that hurts me because it's one of my favorite shots in the film. It's of the taxi murder, and when it opens up on that fixed perspective of the taxi and it follows it through the street, entire thing, everything computer generated.
Oh wow!
The buildings, the car,
really good.
Yeah, everything in that scene.
Wow. I read that.
And then.
Sorry. Oh no, I read it like in that same scene. I read like a lot of the environments like at the murder scene. Like I didn't know about the tracking.
Yeah.
But a lot of that I could sort of tell looking down the street that it was green screen. But like outside of that, I didn't notice it.
Yeah. So at the murder scene, like the buildings were rebuilt.
Yeah.
But then also like either end, like when you see like the police car or the fire truck coming, like those perspectives. CG, so like those as an extension of CG, but also some of the cars in the background, like of the stationary police cars, CG.
Yeah, wow.
And it's all done fantastically to the point where I couldn't tell until watching the fucking break.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
good stuff, Fincher. This actually, I don't know if you saw this one. You didn't mention one I saw, and that's the fact that hair was digitally added to the close-ups. Oh, you did of Jake Gyllenhaal's knuckles. As he draws or holds letters, David Fincher felt that Gyllenhaal's hands were too hairless and pretty, which is very random. But like, I don't know, I kind of appreciate the detail. If you're like, he's like looking at this shot and he's like, I don't know, need to add some hair. It's like, well, why not? Let's do it. I like getting these insights into how Fincher works, man. Here's another one. The shooting script was 200 pages long. To prevent any problems with length that such a long script might cause, and just so people know, generally speaking, a page is a minute, just as a rough rule. Director David Fincher decided to ask his cast members to speak faster. So that's how they got through.
Where did you pick up that? Because I remember where I picked up this the first time, but where did you pick up that 1 page is 1 minute?
I think something to do with Oppenheimer, like in the last few weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because
it had to do with how long the IMAX reel was.
In Sopranos in season 1, when the kid's writing a script, he's like, I got 30 pages. He's like, I need whatever more. Because he's like, and he tells the other guy, roughly 1 minute is a page. Come on, I've only seen one season. I remember that shit. How do you guys fanboys not know that?
Jane didn't remember we did a Dirty Harry episode, but remembers The Sopranos better than us.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Something's going on there. Some of the technical stuff, I don't want to gloss over, the score and the cinematography, because for me, like, this time, it was less moody than I remember, but I like it for that. Like, it all looks and also plays more like a crime biography than a noir. I sort of thought it was more the other way around, but I dug it though.
I love the soundtrack as well. Soundtrack is very just good. Most of the songs I've just added to my playlist over the years. So, yeah.
Nice.
That was another thing like Fincher talked about, like in the commentary of the thing. He talks about using this like the song for the opening. They originally had like another one, and they had that one like late into post production, but then their music supervisor was like, "Oh well, let's try this actually." and he showed him that song, and like Fincher's like, oh yeah, I remember being 8 and driving, and this tingled that and that tingled that. And so like it's moments like that where the film is actually quite personal to Fincher, because he does include moments like that, and he later on mentions about how like some of the interiors and some of the feelings were crafted off his memories of visiting his dad in his office, of like it's like that Chicago, not that San Fran like building, the paper one, what it's called. That one. Yeah, like he's, because he talks about how it's not accurate, but it's based off more his experience of as a child going to these places and shit like that. So I think like it is quite a personal film to Fincher, in that he does include many of those aspects growing up in that time as well.
Yeah. That's interesting. What was there any other standout stuff from all that content you watched with Fincher? Because
I only watched the first 15 minutes because I just watched the movie, so I was like, if I watch the 2 hours 40 again, I was like, it's going to affect my perception.
Oh, so it was his commentary.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I was watching his commentary. I started watching his commentary.
Got it. Okay, I thought this was behind the scenes stuff. Okay, cool.
It was so much about, his commentary was constantly about, in that start at least, just about, this was accurate, this was not. We chose this to be precise, we chose this to not. And it was just very pedantic about that.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, we chose the tan colored Mustang instead of the Camaro or the Corvette because this. And while it's not accurate, we gave it because of this. And like, oh my goodness.
Dude, I'd have a friggin' meltdown having to make all these decisions. God. The film, it's big on fade to black edits. It's big on, also, like, much more importantly, that was just an observation, but much more importantly, it's big on moving very fast, obviously, and the amount of time jumps that we get, the amount of times it comes up at the bottom of the screen that we've jumped ahead was maybe like the most I've ever seen in a movie, honestly. And I don't know, did you guys watch with the Netflix subtitles where it kept doubling up? That was really annoying. Do you have that?
Nah, I watched it on stand.
No, I watched the disc.
Right. On Netflix, every time a like one of the actual texts within the film came up, the subtitle also doubled over it, the same thing, and I just you couldn't read it properly. It was annoying. Anyway,
with like there was like a ton of like cuts forward like that, but it also did have a few times where it did cleverly show like a significant passage of time. Like one was with the building of the of that big tower, whatever it is. And then the second one was like the long cut to black, where it just had like news playing over it to show like quite a few years of like other significant events. Like they didn't even mention like catching the sun to Sam. So like it there are those shortcuts, but like when it came to showing those significant jumps forward, and it was rather clever.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Extended audio montage over black screen. So that was actually. So you watched the director's cut, because that wasn't part of the film that I watched. That wasn't like part of.
Oh yeah. I watched the director's cut. Yeah. That's the only one I've ever seen, I think.
Oh,
actually, I would have watched the normal cut the first time, but I don't remember what the.
There's apparently like 5 minutes of extra footage, because that was like one of the pieces of extra footage added. The black audio scene.
Oh, I thought I knew.
Oh, so you had no idea what I was talking about when I said that?
I thought I did, but apparently I don't. I really thought I did. I thought I remember something about that, but maybe it was just for us. Was it maybe like some like radio chatter about like world events or something? There was something like that for sure.
Maybe I don't really remember much.
Unless Netflix has the director's cut.
No,
was yours 12:40?
2:37, I think it was.
Okay.
Brian Cox was a surprise. He looked totally different, but that was fun.
It was good.
He was. I definitely got some more trivia here about. Yeah, an interesting thing was, I don't know, like I guess it kind of plays into Dave Toshi's sort of, grind on the job and how much he's always there and how he has to give it up, which I totally understand. If I'd friggin' Robert knocking on my door at 3 a.m., then I'd want to kill him too, no doubt about that. But like it was an interesting thing to play into like the food aspect with him, like all the time. There's a bit of trivia here. Toshi spends the whole film mooching food, animal crackers, sandwiches from those around him. Right. When Graysmith presents the solution at the diner in the film's climax, Toshi pays for both their meals. What an arc right there.
He takes a tomato out of the BLT sandwich.
Does he?
That? Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're like in there earlier in the film.
Oh, that's terrible. I
When
hate
he's
him
with
now.
his partner.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
I liked it. I don't know. I liked this element. You know, the partner, was it him or the partner? No, it was the partner that always wanted to try Japanese food, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the real stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you love it. Yeah.
I'm curious, what else do you have that list of like the difference between the
Yeah.
director's cut and
Oh yeah.
what else? What
Brian
else is
Cox
extra?
scene talking about his safari trip.
Yeah.
Toshi introduced himself to the police, Riverside Police chief,
Mm.
one of the police chiefs. I don't know. A new scene between Gray Smith and Avery, doesn't say which, but a three-way conversation between laying Lee as a suspect to get a search warrant. They're probably just.
Oh, yep. That's a great scene.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, what happened there?
So in that one, they need to present what they have in order to qualify to get a warrant from the DA or whoever the hell deals it in America. I don't know how it works. So it's Toshi as partner, and then like their chief, speaking to an intercom, not an intercom, but like a loudspeaker, and just presenting all their evidence, and it is just a back and forth between all of them, and each of them revealing what they have, and that is kind of what solidifies it as being so strong against Lee, because they just keep on stacking it up to get that warrant, and it's enough to convince the DA to get the warrant, and like it is just a good kind of delivery of dialogue, and just kind of providing the audience also with all the facts that they need. That's a good one. Yeah.
Sounds good. Piecing it all together on him. Okay.
Yeah, because like in our film, I guess he just got the warrant. I don't know if the moment was like signified by anything.
No, I don't recall that. No.
It sounds like a victory moment that we missed out on.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Mm.
Yeah. It's curious. Like, it's funny. Like with that director's cut, it sounds like such small changes. Like, I wonder why they're not in the theatrical. I don't know. You know, it's only 5 minutes. Like, it's kind of weird. The studio had some whack.
They also add more hair to Gyllenhaal's knuckles in the director's cut.
Yeah, they make it look like a gorilla on his hands. Okay, let's get to our final verdicts for Zodiac. Fitzy, I'll go in the same order I did at the start.
Me?
I guess.
I'm going to give this film a 10 out of 10. Wow.
Holy shit!
Highest score you can give a film.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know if I justified it, but it is a 10 out of 10 film for me.
Sure. No, fair enough. You know what? I was going to give it a 9 because I really, really did enjoy the flow of it. But the two things, I'm now just in this moment, and maybe in a day, like I'll reflect on it and change again. But like right now in this moment, I have a little bit of doubt about Avery's character, and I have a little bit of doubt about how much I like the fact it focuses on Gyllenhaal's perspective when that's not necessarily entirely as.
But it's great for this.
But I don't know if the film did a good enough job of framing it as that until the end, and it sort of didn't the whole time. You know, I've just got a little bit of doubt in those areas, so I'm going to give it an 8. But it was fantastic. I really enjoyed the watch for sure. Jaden, what about you?
Yeah, I'm right up there with Liam. It's always been a 10 for me at the gates, and I foresee it will be in the future.
Hell yeah.
Well, to be fair, this time I had the most doubt, but I think that just comes with familiarity.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Now it's time. Yeah, now it's time for our highlights of the week. Oh wow! I'll start off by just quickly saying I haven't really got anything to talk about. I've been dabbling in a couple things. Dabbling in a Rebels rewatch. Dabbling in The Leftovers. Been watching that slowly. But yeah, no, that's really all I've got. So I'll pass it to you guys. Fitzy, what have you been watching?
I watched Monster, which was pretty great actually. It was a Japanese film. It was kind of like a Last Deal, Rashomon type film, multiple perspectives, and the film has like an interesting kind of through line in each perspective where like each perspective has a different like monster like character, like evil kind of character that at least they think is like the bad person. This one like it won best screenplay for Cannes or Cannes, whatever it is. And yeah, I feel it really deserves it in the way like just in the way it like slowly reveals everything. It went in like an emotionally disturbing direction, but it didn't go in the direction that I thought it would, which I'm happy that it went that way. So yeah, it was very good.
Can you say where you thought it would go without spoilers?
I thought the subject matter would be more distasteful, I guess, but it wasn't really. So yeah, it was really good.
Cool. Is that another preview one that's coming out at some point later here?
I have no idea. Where's Andy waiting when you need him? I don't know.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, but I assume it was a myth film, so I assume it'll come out at some point, maybe.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Jaden, what about you?
I thought I watched it this week, but other than Pokemon, I can give it up to that because I actually ended up enjoying my time with the main Prime TV series. Very simple, very straightforward, very childlike, But and I felt that more for this X and Y kind of run than I did for the Black and but in X and Y, which is the series which each game comes out in the anime then follows that. It probably excelled the most I have seen like Pokemon. There was some incredibly strong moments, which is just kind of surprising. The anime is 100% better than them purely just because it does have these kind of inconsistent, relatively frequent kind of just strong episodes, and like the first two seasons of X and Y were rather poor. Not rather poor, but like they were kind of. But the third one was kind of came out very consistently.
Nice. How does the comparison work between the films and the anime? Like, do you watch a film because you get to a point in the show where it's like next up you watch the film like chronologically for the story?
Yeah, I think the film typically comes out probably about episode 40-ish of the anime, which is a few episodes off the end. But I just watch the season and then watch the movie.
And is that's fine?
Like they are designed to be separate of each other. Like
Okay.
the movies never reference the anime. You're kind of always just thrown in to a random point where Ash has certain Pokemon and the companions are at a certain point, and there isn't really any too strong reliance on anything established.
Oh,
Because like the movies never mention gyms or the league or Ash's progress as a trainer. It is purely a unique Pokemon that they establish for the film, typically, and then a unique. Like the movies are very independent of the anime.
Got it. Okay. But they are like technically canon.
They're canon. And the problem with Pokemon is always that Ash like has like a hard red. So like Pokemon that you're introduced to in previous series or in previous movies, you're reintroduced to again. But once again, that comes just to being accessible for kids and just to make it all viewable on its own rather than having to watch it like a Marvel.
Yeah, right. I guess that's sort of what I'm thinking. How much is left of this thing? Like,
so I've got Sun and Moon, which I just started on.
Yeah.
So I've got 3 series of that, and then I've got the Sword and Shield series to go, but they call that Journeys. Before
okay. So have they not got a Violet and Scarlet one going?
they do, but it's only the Japanese dub so far. The English one will come out soonish.
Got it. Okay. Wow.
And I only watch Pokemon in English because Pokemon to me is a cartoon. It's not an anime. This is like shit I grew up watching.
Right.
Okay. It's like and I don't want to learn Japanese Pokemon names. I want to learn the English Pokemon names.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Okay. God, what a day it'll be when you finish this shit.
Yeah, I know, right? I covered like 6 years of fucking TV in like 3 months.
Wow.
So,
absolutely. Now comes a segment where we hand the show over to you with our question of the show. Last week we asked you, what is your favourite movie which spans multiple decades? ChatGPT wrote in, and I'm going to ignore that because I'm not doing that shit again. Luke said Interstellar. The relativity in that movie spans multiple decades. Indeed it does. I think Jane predicted you'd answer that for sure. But you also throw in another answer would be Forrest Gump.
Oh.
True. Oh, I knew it. I was gonna ask. I feel like you two would not like Forrest Gump. I feel like we've got a Forrest Gump hater squad here. Am I wrong?
I don't hate it. I just don't think it deserves its place on.
Okay. All right. Fitzy agrees with that.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, I knew it. You know what? I knew it. Like, I haven't really got an opinion on Forrest Gump. I've seen it in like 15 years, but I knew, knowing you two, like, not being huge fans of Back to the Future. Like, what is that? You know. So like,
Oh,
I knew the Zemeckis connection. I knew it.
what? Jane's the Back to the Future hater. I don't mind Back to the Future.
Oh, you like Back to the Future?
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. You see, that's what I'm talking about. That's not the kind of attitude I'm looking for here. You know what I mean? Andy said, my favorite movie, which spans multiple decades, would have to be Marty's Raging Bull. I hope that one counts. And Robert De Niro's performance was simply timeless. Yeah, it definitely counts, right? Don't think there's any dispute.
Yeah, I forgot that actually spans multiple decades, but like obviously it makes sense since you track.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. De Niro's performance was simply timeless. Perhaps one of the most enthralling black and white camera work and editing I've ever seen as well. Feel free to maybe expand on Raging. Wait, what? Raging.
He goes on to denigrate your opinion.
I always do this where if I think someone's had a typo, I look at the keyboard and see where the keys are. And I've just done it now where he wrote RG and I can see G's next to B. So he meant Raging Bull, which obviously makes sense. Feel free to maybe expand on Raging Bull being such a beautiful masterpiece. But I know Zach won't have to since he gave this a lower score. God damn it. But thinks The Departed is Scorsese's best work for some reason. So I felt the need to call him out again. Sincerely, Andy Lau. And thank you for doing that little Martin Scorsese emote we have. Thank you, Andy. Sorry, Jen, what did you say? I missed what you said.
Oh, just because you got troubled. I thought I'd fill you in on that. He goes to denigrate.
Oh, yeah.
About your opinions.
Yeah. I mean, it's 3 stars. It's not a lot. It is a lower score. I guess he's right. I thought it was like a low score. I don't know about that. But anyway, that's a really good answer though, because I honestly didn't consider it. So thank you, Andy. Unfortunately, The Departed does not span multiple decades, so it can't be my answer. But in looking, I saw that there's quite a few potential options here. I mean, there's plenty of. I think it's pretty clear cut what counts, but I was also trying to look at, like, for example, Silence spans multiple decades.
I was trying to think about Silence. It does, right?
Yes, but it really only does at the end, though. So, like, I didn't know if it was truly in the spirit of the question for, like, okay, yeah, but the last 5 minutes goes hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't know if I wanted it. I mean, it counts, but I didn't know if I wanted to give that as an answer, as an example, you know. So
yeah, well, just on that note, but I have like 4 5-star Scorsese films, and I'm pretty sure they all fit the criteria. Like,
what are they?
Silence, Casino, Irishman, and The Aviator. They all span like at least a decade.
Oh, yeah. I didn't. Casino. Yeah, does it? I guess it does.
Yeah.
I mean, The Irishman's bloody obvious, but yeah, that's it. He loves that kind of thing, I guess. Fizzy, what was your actual answer?
My answer is Barry Lyndon, which is in the true spirit of the question, because it's a very like segmented film. There's like a part 1, a part 2, but like we end on such a different place that we start off on, and it's like a momentous, journey through his life from rags to riches, romance to despotism. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously a good film, but it's the decade spanning element of it is very seamless, very good, very grand.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it sounds. Is it literally just part 1's in one decade and then part 2's in another?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds pretty. Seamless.
Pretty seamless, yeah.
This is good. See, this is another aspect of the question. I'm now learning about films I haven't seen that apparently span decades. I didn't know that. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's cool. I had The Prestige spans decades, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of not entirely defined, but I think it does. I think it has to. Like
hold on. Actually, does it?
Well, it spans years for sure.
Yeah. I was stuck with this for a lot of films, trying to think, is it years or is it decades?
I reckon The Prestige goes across 2 decades. It's probably. I need to rewatch the film. I'm sure there'd be some evidence in there to suggest.
I'm just trying to think about his daughter is young at the end of it, and I'm just trying to think how long before she was born do you reckon it starts?
Well, the earliest scene in the film I can recall is like that the inciting incident for Hugh Jackman, where his wife is killed. When they were all a team.
Right.
That I feel like that might have been 10 years before, like over 10 years before. Like the actual then by the end when you got the little girl.
I think they're actually supposed to be very young at the start, right? Because they're like brothers in like arms, brothers in the field or whatever.
Yeah. Like even they're younger, even more so than they would it would look.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. because they're up and comers, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. When they do that kind of thing. Yeah. Other one was, is Brokeback Mountain across decades?
Yeah, because
think
it's
it
like
is.
old age makeup, isn't it? That doesn't
Oh, I don't remember that.
doesn't Heath Ledger get some old age makeup?
Yeah, he might.
And so does Anne Hathaway.
Is Anne Hathaway in that movie? Holy shit!
Yeah, she's like the main. She's Jake Gyllenhaal's wife.
Oh, I always think of Michelle Williams first in that movie, but okay,
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. No, that makes sense. Yeah, that one spans decades. So yeah, that's a banger too. So I'm happy with those two as my answers. Brokeback Man, that's my memory failing me on that one. I think that one's very clearly decades if you watch it. Jaden, what about you?
I wanted to pick something like, picking something with like a flashback to 20 years, and like that's cheating,
I felt the
And
same
also-
way. I felt the same way.
And you don't want something that has like a hard cut forward, like 2001, starts in fucking 65,000 BC or whatever, and then hard cuts to 2001,
Oh, okay.
It doesn't count. Look, at the end of the day, it probably is this film, but that's a bit boring because we just spoke about it for an hour and 10 minutes. So the one I will say is On Sundays.
Oh, you're
Oh,
finally
yeah.
saying it right. Oh my god. Character arc, dude. Crazy.
Yeah, I thought I'd better pronounce it right for you this time. Yeah. Although like that is technically it's not like a clear progression of time, but it is hard cutting between like the mother and the kids' perspectives.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
No, it definitely counts. Definitely counts. I feel like is the next arc going to be us being able to say Khan, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that 4 years of the show, and every time we say it, we always say or whatever.
It's
Yeah.
Khan, right? It's Khan. I'm actually not joking. It's Khan, right?
I think it's
You don't
Khan's,
say it with an
whatever.
S on the end.
How
I
you
don't say it with an
it,
S. The S is just funny. So,
Can.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's either
So,
Khan
but
or
is it
Can.
Khan or
Cans?
Can?
Cans?
It's French. It's got to be Khan, right?
Or maybe we're talking about Cairns up North Queensland.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
The Cairns Film Festival up there.
There probably is a Cairns Film Festival. I don't know. Maybe they get some extra publicity as a result of that little mix-up. I don't know. I'd like to go to the Cairns Film Festival personally. Okay. I thought another one that might come up is Assassination, but I feel like we talk about it all the time.
What?
Oh, Jesse James? I didn't even think.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't
yeah,
even think of that,
Sorry.
yeah.
Fuck.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like we bring that up a lot in answers, but
Yeah. The movie's basically
Very-
banned
very true.
because we've talked about it too much.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
It's like probably the most talked about movie we've done it without reviewing it, to be honest.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Probably can't review it.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Maybe,
Just all trodden territory.
maybe on episode 700 we'll check it out. As always, we'd love you to submit your responses, thoughts, and or reviews for next week's film in the YouTube comment section, the Instagram comment section, or join the Discord server. This week, the specific question we'll be asking you is, which sequel is the most similar to the original movie? Let us know. Fitzy, I mean, I guess it's up to the audience if they feel like it's a relevant question or not. We felt it was sort of relevant, maybe. But anyway, what film are we doing next week?
Well, I think it's relevant. I made up the question, but so I'm a bit biased. But
I think it's relevant too.
we are doing Catching the Hunger Games, Catching Fire. We're continuing with our Hunger Games franchise. And we did the first film, and now we're doing the second one. So get hyped for that. It's on
I think this
Stan,
one's also on everything.
Stan
Yeah.
Prime and Netflix, yeah.
Plenty of options there for sure. Not going to lie, I got high hopes here. Got high hopes. This has historically been my favourite. I feel like I don't know the public perception, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was other people's favourites as well. So, and it's been a while. It's been a long time. So I'm curious, but I'm pretty excited to check it out again for sure. I feel like Jane's is trying not to play his cards right now. I don't know. All right.
I was a bit tuned out.
Oh.
Like I heard everything, but like I was just.
You were just absorbing it. Yeah. No, it's fine. Yeah, I gave you too much credit. Okay. That's it. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Appreciate Liam and Jaden for joining me as always. Have a great rest of your week and goodbye.